Holly and I actually were sitting yesterday. We started talking about like, what's the why behind our behaviors? And so I was like, yeah, I want to talk about that today, because here's the thing. We're here because we have goals, right? You didn't just sign up for this program. You had a clear goal of what you want. And with every single goal, there are 3 layers to it. And we don't really think about it that way. So you first have the what. What is the goal that I'm trying to achieve? And this is where we spend a lot of our focus. And this is what we're working towards. It's what we want to change. I want to lose weight, or I want to change what I'm eating. I want to implement exercise, whatever it is. Weight loss is my goal. We spend a lot of time focused on that. But that's just one layer to having a goal. The second layer is how you're going to reach the goal. My goal is weight loss. So how I'm going to get there, I'm going to eat in a deficit. I'm going to stick with whole foods as much as possible. I'm going to eat home as much as possible. I'm going to implement exercise because that has to happen. Boom. I know what I want. I know how I'm going to do it. Let's go. I got my plan. That's a wrap. Except for no, most of us don't even spend any time on this third component that I'm going to talk about. And this is what we're talking about today. Why do you want to reach this goal? Why do you have the goal that you have? Knowing what your goal is going to be probably the most simple thing for us to decide and say, yes, this is what I want. Figuring out how you're going to reach that goal can sometimes be a battle, as you're seeing. Weight loss isn't just like, here it is. We have to fight for it. We have to work. We sometimes have to shift our approach depending on who you are, what you're facing. But it's not impossible, right? Figuring out the what, that's called problem solving and implementing new things. But what I think really holds people back from actually following through with their goals or keeping the goal once you're there, right, is just not having a clear and concrete why you actually want that goal. So I think a lot of times this self-sabotage that we talked about, it comes from not knowing why you're doing what you're doing. It's like you're not deep enough yet. I'm not just talking about the why that you're willing to admit to everybody. You might write this big article everybody reads and you feel comfortable with them knowing this why. I want to live longer. I want to have energy to chase my kids. And I'm not saying those aren't whys, but I'm talking about the one that's like deep down, that real reason that you signed up for this program, the real why that's going to push you through all the things that come up that are hard. So I need to ask you this. I want you to think about the current goals that you have right now. Whatever it is, I want you to articulate that goal. Yes, you may have a really long-term goal. I want there to be some short-term goals in there, but just articulate the goal and then ask yourself, why is this your goal? It's really easy to confuse the what you want with why you want it. And I think we've got to really distinguish those two. You may think that the why behind exercising, eating cleaner, being in the deficit, whatever it is, you may think that that is really the what. You may think that's your why, like, because I want to lose weight. That's the what. Your why is the purpose behind it, behind the goal, behind the what. It's the reason that you're doing all these uncomfortable things, all the things that you're doing. It's that driving force. So if your what is losing weight, then you need to figure out why it is. Why is it that I'm chasing after weight loss? Because losing weight means making these deep-rooted changes, as you're seeing. It's deeply ingrained habitual behavior from, a lifetime of these patterns and habits. And it's hard to change those things. I've changed some really horrific, deeply ingrained habitual behaviors that I've had surrounding food and exercise. It is totally doable to change them, but it's not easy. So if you don't have this strong reason that you're making these changes, it's going to be easy to quit when things get hard, when you run into a roadblock, when you get frustrated. It's going to be easy to want to throw in the towel. So, figuring out exactly what your why is so important, because I think we can all relate to, we hear this all the time, right? I had a long day, our stress level was high, I'm completely exhausted. I'm coming home from work. Everybody at work needed me. Now I'm home. Everybody needs me. And I'm just like really exhausted. I had planned on working out that night, but now I just don't feel like working out. It's like the last thing I want to do. It feels like it's just too much. In those moments, it's almost like there's this little voice over here, your little angel over here that's like, no, girl, you need to do that. You can't skip it. You made a promise to yourself, right? You need to lose weight. That's a real weak voice, but it's a voice over here like, you need to lose weight. You said you wanted to lose weight. And then you have the voice over here that's like, no, skipping one workout's not going to make a difference. You're exhausted. You got to take care of yourself. Real compelling over here. And so what do? two, we tend to listen to that voice. So what we need to do is make this why, this little voice over here that's like, girl, no, like that needs to be a compelling story. It needs to be more compelling than this one. You need to take care of yourself. You need to comfort yourself. No, I am this. So that's what we really want to build today, that we're going to talk about. Building up this story, giving this person a bigger voice. Because how are we going to show up in these scenarios when we have these conflicting voices and we're choosing this one? Okay, if we have not given this little why some meat on his bones, then we're probably going to just keep quitting. And then I'm going to start over Monday, right? So we're going to work on finding that real driving factor behind doing what we're doing, because you're here. You're here because you had the goal of weight loss, right? You've been stuck, you've been frustrated. I want to get back in, right? But we have to keep asking ourselves, why do we keep ending up back to the other place, right? Because just losing weight isn't a reason enough to keep you motivated, because you're valuable even with a little extra excess body fat, and you know that. So it's got to be more than that. It's got to be like, because this is about who I am and this is about living to my values. So step one is we're going to have to dig deeper. So if your goal is, I need to lose more weight, that's just scratching the surface. But if you want to stick with it, like if you want to lose the weight and stick with it, you're going to have to dig deeper, more than, oh, I just need to lose this many pounds. You got to scrape away at all the layers until you find that deep reason, that why. And you might need to ask yourself like 20 questions, but keep asking yourself why. So let's say I want to lose 25 pounds. Why do you want to lose 25 pounds? Because I want to weigh what I did 5 years ago. Why do you want to weigh what you did 5 years ago? Well, because I look at pictures and I like the way that I looked at that weight. So why do you think you look better in those pictures? Because my clothes fit me better. Like I like the way it looks better. Why does it matter if you look cuter in your clothes? Because I feel more comfortable that way. Why do you feel more comfortable when you look better in your clothes? Because I feel more confident. I feel less self-conscious. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. Why will you be more confident when you look better in your clothes? Because outside of me will match the inside. Like I'm going to look the way that I feel. I'm going to feel good about that, I'm somebody that cares about my physical health. I want it to reflect that. I want my outside to reflect that I value that, because I value my health and I want to be a person that lives by my values. When I live by my values, I can live with some purpose, and then I'm happy. Okay, well, losing 25 pounds was a little bit deeper than I just want to look better in my clothes. I want my actions to reflect the values that I have for myself. Maybe that's not yours. I'm just walking you through what that could look like. But it needs to be deeper than, well, I just want to look better. Okay, that's not a deep enough reason. We're human beings. We need to be connected, having a set of values and living with intention based on those values. So there's your why. Find it out. Write it down. Write it down first. What is it that you want? Why? I want you to go deep, deep, deep. Get past the surface, because the surface is just comfortable. It's easy. We're not getting deeper. There's going to be some emotions that come out whenever you go deep, and it's going to be uncomfortable. But we want to attach feelings and emotions to our goal. We want that. We want to feel passionate about that goal. That's what's going to keep us pushing towards it when things get hard. As humans, like we want to strive for something more. We want to strive for something that has deeper meaning. We don't want to just be like, oh yeah, I'm living my life, la la la. We feel best when we're living with purpose. That's why it's so important. Y'all know, if you've done Metabolism Mastery, this is part of it, is figuring out why weight loss means something to you on a value, not based on, oh, I just want to. I'm disgusted with myself. Completely different experience. So first we make our list, like why? Once you do that, step 2 is getting real with yourself and being honest. Now that we have asked ourselves 246 questions and we've gotten to the why, we want to add this next layer. How is not reaching your goal, how is that affecting your life? Be honest. What are the consequences of not reaching that goal? If it's based on like, well, then I don't look better, that big of a consequence is people are still going to love you. You're still valuable, right? If you don't look the way that you want. It's not about other people. It's about here, right? So I want you to imagine areas in your life that mean something to you. All the things that are so important to you. Where are your priorities? And I want you to list those. Maybe it's 3, maybe it's 5. Maybe it's something you're saying, my faith is super important to me. My kids are super important to me. My career is super important to me. My relationships are super important. Some hobbies are really important to me. And then I want you to ask yourself, how much better could I show up in all of those things that are so important to me if I were my best self? I want you to literally write those things down and visualize what it would feel like and what it would look like if you were to show up in all of these areas as your best self. And then I want you to ask yourself, honestly, how you're showing up for those right now. How could you show up differently when you reach your goal? There's some examples that I could have used here and just brush by. But as you guys know now, I'm not going to just brush by and give you surface level things. I'm going to get to the point, and I'm going to give you a little warning that these next two examples that I'm going to say are a little bit personal, but I want to provoke some real thought in you. So let's go back to our example from earlier. If you're not feeling confident in your own skin, I feel comfortable. And if you're not feeling that way, how are you showing up for intimacy in your relationship? If you don't feel good about yourself, nothing anyone else says is going to change your mind. How can you ever really be connected with someone if you are consumed with thoughts of the body that you are not comfortable in the entire time? How much better could you show up in your relationship if you were your best self there? A lot of problems in relationships stem from pulling back the layers. We're not comfortable in our bodies. And another example is, how well are you able to show up in your faith? If you're someone that's seeking comfort in food versus comfort from above. And can you imagine how much more your faith would grow if you learn to turn upward with your feelings and become embraced and comforted from the Lord versus turning to food for comfort? How much better could your patience be with your children if you weren't already mentally frustrated with yourself after making another poor decision that doesn't align with your goals? I read this book by a woman named Joan Ifland, and she's the queen of talking about sugar addiction. And she talks about how her mom growing up was just snappy with them all the time. And then as she got older, they started talking about it, and she would eat sugar and get frustrated with herself and then lash out at her kids. Her patience with herself was diminished. And so then her patience with her kids was diminished. And that really struck a chord because I've certainly felt that when I've let myself down and I'm frustrated internally to shift it to the people that are closest to us. It's affecting us how we're showing up to the things that are so important to us. And we have to remember those things. Those have to be the things that we keep right here. So when we're busy, when we're tired, when we're not managing our time and we are flustered, when all of these things are happening and we're tempted to be oh yeah, girl, just give in. We remember this over here. No, because I'm ready to show up as my best self for this. These things are so important to me, killing me that I'm not showing up in these areas. And I know that these things that are so important to me could be so much better if I would just stop listening to this voice. Step 3 is then you have to pay the price. If you want to be showing up as your best self, if you want to be doing things that are going to elicit change, then you have to be able to take the daily steps that you need to that align with all of this. The actions have to be the actions that will lead to the outcome you're trying to get to that goal. Even on days that you're feeling stressed, even on days that you're feeling exhausted, you still have to work to move your body. You have to nourish your body with foods that you know is going to bless you versus keep sending you back into that spiral that doesn't lead you to where you're wanting to go. So you have to align those actions with your why. Why am I doing this thing? I'm acting on this because it's important to me. You can't just know your why. You still have to be able to put in the work. So I think, we do this work and we're yes, I know my why. It's not going to change everything because you still have to take the actions. You have to pay the price. There's a price of admission to get there. And without putting in that work, you're never going to get there, right? But I want you to sit there and ask yourself, if I never take those actions and I never get there, what will my life look like? Versus what if I just stop falling into this sabotage cycle? And what if I just kept taking the actions, even when I didn't want to? Then what would my life look like? How would those areas that are so important to me, how would they thrive versus versus just kind of like not drowning, but just treading water and like trying to keep your head above it. And like when you take these actions, take pride in being someone that works hard. Take pride in saying these efforts are hard and I'm so proud to be working toward this thing. Because when we're proud of something, we start enjoying it more. It shifts our attitude from feeling like, oh, I have to do this to get, but these things are important to you. That's why you're doing this. Our why is going to be different, guys. I have a very solid reason on why I do some of the things that I do. Whereas to maybe somebody else, I look crazy. I don't care what that person says because they don't live my life. They don't have my belief system. They don't have my value system. I'm living, the choices I make align with that. Not all the time, but I'm just saying like, that's my goal. I really take pride in being somebody that puts blood, sweat, and tears into the things that I do because I love the journey. I love the process. It's something I can plug into and be like, look how far I've come. Look what I'm doing. I identify with the person that's walking the road versus I'm not here until I'm there, then I'm going to be happy. It's like, no, I'm digging the trenches. I'm hitting that rock. I'm becoming somebody. I'm fighting for something that I want. And then it builds this sense of pride. And a lot of us come into this from this self-critical like place, you know, oh, do that. Nobody thrives under that. People that thrive and do well and keep going are people that can cheer themselves on and just be like, yes, here I go. Look at me go. I mean, who do you think is more likely to keep going? Somebody that's like, I'm doing the hard thing and I'm freaking proud of it. Let me go find more hard things to do. Look at me. Or somebody that's like, I'm doing the hard thing. I mean, you know, that's just a rhetorical question because I think we all know who's going to keep going. And then our final step today, share your why. Because at the end of the day, the choices that you make in your life are going to be heavily dependent on those who you surround yourself with the most. If you surround yourself with people who are moving their body with the workout, they're going to the gym, they're doing these workouts, they're eating healthy food, you're more likely to keep that up as well. If you're hanging out with people who have a negative attitude, they're skipping out on the gym, they're eating bad foods, and they're like, yeah, girl, come on. You're more likely to do those things. So if you're serious about reaching your goal, you need to ensure that these people that are closest around you support you and they're not working against you. And it's really, really challenging to find women who are genuinely happy for you when you lose weight, because what do most women struggle with? What do most women struggle with is losing weight. And when you see someone else succeeding where you are not, the old jealousy comes out. And most people are not self-aware enough to say, whoa, I feel jealous. That means I want what they want. Let me ask them what they're doing. Let me try to learn. That's not what most people are doing. That person's weird. That person's stupid. Come back to my level. These are the things, right? So, you know, share this with the people that you love and trust. And there's some people that you like cut them out of your life. Like you can't cut your mother out of your life because she has disordered eating and is making comments, but you can draw some boundaries and you can communicate in a loving way and just say, hey, this is what I'm pursuing it. This is what I'm pursuing. This is why I'm pursuing it. And most of the time when you have this honest conversation, people are very willing to respect you and help you. And the ones that aren't probably should not be as close to you. So, I mean, that's really all I need to say about that. But I just want to reiterate, this why is so important. Not only is it going to help you push to get to your goal, but it's what's going to keep you there. It's what's going to keep all that work that you did. You have to keep doing those things. Once you lose the weight, once you do that, guess what? If you don't keep doing those things, you will go back. So you have to become somebody that can live there. You can definitely achieve a goal without having a why. You can definitely lose weight without knowing your why. I see it all the time. But when you're there and you still feel empty and you still feel like, well, I'm here, but I need to go further, I guess, because I'm not happy. You still feel the same inside. That's sad because you did all of this work. You made all of these external changes and you're still not happy. That's why in the beginning, when I said you looked back at a picture from 5 years ago and like, oh, I was so happy at that weight. I looked so good. You can see that now, but in that picture, were you like rocking that? Were you like, I'm feeling good? Most likely you were not even feeling good then. It was still not good enough. So anyways, I'm not here to tell you what your why is because I don't know, you know? You got to figure it out. You got to figure out, and it may be something so dumb in the beginning that keeps you moving, and then it turns into something different. So anyways, it might start off somewhere and you dig deeper until it becomes about you and only you.